Hello, my name is Patricia Potts, and I've been asked to tell you a little bit about my story in terms of being bipolar. My mother always said that from the time I was little, I was either all the way up or all the way down. There was very little in between. And that story remained true throughout my elementary years and my junior high and high school years. I got married a year after college, and we had two beautiful daughters. I was pregnant with my third when this event happened. I had had a difficult day because I was running a preschool and daycare, very involved in my church and community. This one day, things just had not gone well with the daycare. And I was moaning about it and feeling really bad because I felt like I'd let some people down, and I'd neglected things at home. My husband was going to school and going to work at the time. He came home from work that day and he noticed the burned out lawn and that the kids weren't dressed, the dinner wasn't made, the house looked messy, and my daughter Heidi had her diaper, needed to be changed. And he said, "Patricia, what are you doing?" And I responded by saying, "You're right, I'm a terrible wife. I'm a horrible mother. I can't do anything right." And at this, he figured the best thing he could do was to go downstairs with the girls and watch some television. I, on the other hand, went in the bedroom, and all of a sudden I realized that no matter how hard I tried, I could never be Patty perfect, the person that I was always wanting to be. And since my name was Patricia and I was called Patty, I really thought I could someday be that Patty perfect person. With this realization came the feeling that my husband and children would be better off without me. I went to the closet, put on a big old coat, and left my home. That first night, I stayed in a stranger's house in their basement on a cot on the cement. I then went to my sisters and to my mother's, afraid to come back, afraid to be the person that I didn't know who existed anymore. When I finally did come back, it took me nearly 3 months of dysfunctional depression in order to recover. And by that I mean my mother-in-law was coming in and taking care of the kids and the house, and I mostly laid in bed and wished that I could just die. Being pregnant kept me from making choices that I may have otherwise made. One night I remember throwing myself on a beanbag chair and just begging the Lord to take me. Towards the end of that 3 months, in addition to going to a counselor, I went to a class about overcoming grief and loss. And it was there that I was really thrown a lifeline. I learned the stages of overcoming depression and loss. The first is denial, characterized by guilt, anger, and frustration. The second, acceptance. The third, rebuilding. And the fourth, helping others do the same. So I realized that the denial, I was through that part. I couldn't deny that I was going through this horrible depression. I was caught up in the guilt, anger, and frustration, still, quite often. But my counselor, Bert Chamberlain, was helping me understand how to get through that more. But the second step was acceptance, accepting things the way they are, not the way we wish they would be, or the way we think they should be, but the way they are. And as I was able to accept things the way they were, and my husband was too, we were finally able to go to rebuilding. making some decisions about what I wouldn't be involved in, and rebuilding who I was and redetermining who that was, journaling a lot. It was a real time of introspection. Finally, through the grace of God, I was able to recover, and then I was able to move on and help other people in their recoveries. A few years went on, my beautiful baby girl was born, and I found myself involved in teaching some community and library classes on understanding and overcoming depression. Then I got involved in going one step further and creating a magazine for women and creating a coping network for women, along with other really good women. We put ourselves together to do this. But little by little, inch by inch, I got more and more involved. And even, I would say, more and more back into this Patty Perfect mode. Until one night I stayed up almost all night long typing the bylaws for this coping network for women. I crashed the next day. I just crashed. Total depression enveloped me. And it was during that recovery that I had a friend who was bipolar mention that she thought maybe that's what my problem was and I needed to see a psychiatrist. And so I wanted to get better and I didn't want to fall again. So I made that appointment. I remember the day before I went, I asked about a dozen friends of all different churches and faiths to pray for me so that the psychiatrist would be able to know what medication I needed to be on. And it was an absolute miracle, because the medicine I was given at that time, which was 20 some odd years ago, is still the one I take today. And although I've had other relapses, I have been really grateful for that. I was able to recover that time.